Castlevania, a name that is deeply engraved in video game history. Perhaps one of the most important franchises to have ever existed, along with... Whoa, the hell are you doing? I'm making an intro? No, we don't do that here. Give me the mic and piss off. Yeah, but I was thinking... Did I stutter? I said piss off! Castlevania Circle of the Moon, the 13th installment in the franchise first released in 2001 for the Game Boy Advance, who has now found its way onto the big screen, with the Castlevania Advance Collection, which is the version showcased in this video. So the story is set in the year 1830. Dracula has once again been revived thanks to Carmilla to bring darkness to the world of the living. We play as Nathan Graves, who, along with his fellow apprentice, Hug, screw this. So Hugh and their master Maurice Baldwin has come to the castle to stop Dracula.
Stop! You violated the law. Pay the court a fine or serve your sentence.
Although, sorry to break it to you, but we can't have that many vampire hunters going against the Lord of Darkness. We don't want the game to be too easy now, do we? In other words, don't expect your allies to be useful, because as soon as we get to Dracula, he separates both us and Hugh from our master by destroying the floor and causing us to plummet down a long shaft for approximately 2 kilometers. Oops, sorry, I forgot to use freedom units. So about 121 trucks, which we obviously survive unscathed because...
physics, bitch!
And of course, Hugh decides to leave Nathan behind because he's still pissed about his father naming us as a successor instead of him. But I mean... what were you expecting, man? With a name as bad as yours, it's no wonder he didn't want you to get the vampire killer. Circle of the Moon was the first real Castlevania to be released after Symphony of the Night, if we ignore the weird mistakes that were the Nintendo 64 titles. So the main concepts behind what we now call the Metroidvania genre are present here. To roughly summarize what a Metroidvania is, basically you start off as a little cockroach who can barely do anything, so you'll have to explore the map in order to collect various abilities that will unlock different paths until you eventually get to the last boss. It's a simple yet effective gameplay loop that rewards curiosity and exploration. But be warned, there's a lot of backtracking. If you've got a shitty memory like me, it's more than likely you'll end up wandering around wondering where the hell is the next area supposed to be. It is part of the charm of these type of games after all. At least, even when you get lost, you have something to do, because there are generally numerous secret rooms scattered around which are, in this case, hiding potions that will give you either more HP or hearts for your sub-weapon, for example. And believe me when I say you're gonna need it, because this is not an easy game. So yeah, the more you explore the castle, the easier it will be for you to stay alive. Which is great, because being alive is neat. At least that's what my therapist says. Except there is a small problem. Not with the environment in which you progress. Even if it's not the best castle in the franchise, it's still pretty good. The problem rather comes from how your character navigates through it. I'm not going to talk about the unlockable abilities and how freaking stupid it is to have a power to push wooden boxes when you already have something that allows you to destroy huge rocks. The real issue here is the... no, seriously, it's dumb as fuck. Is the slow, clanky way your character moves. It's a weird mix between the old and more modern Castlevania games. The first thing you notice when starting your playthrough, aside from the opening screen's lady beautiful singing voice, oh my god, it's so beautiful, is the fact that Nathan doesn't seem too stressed about his master getting kidnapped and him being surrounded by corpses.
Dying the life of a true Brexit geezer.
As you can see, this is your regular walking speed. And what's even dumber is that the first ability we unlock, literally in the first 2 minutes, is the ability to run. The reason why it's not included under character by default is beyond my understanding. But wait, that's where it gets fun. To be able to run, you have to double tap the left or right button, which is not only a really questionable choice design-wise, but also a humongous pain in the ass. If in Blood Rain the problem is that your character is way too slidey when moving, then here it's the exact opposite. And for some reason, even if you're slower than a baby in a wheelchair when walking, you can jump faster and higher than a rabbit on cocaine. The devs made the castle layout more vertical, so there is a lot of platforming, which almost always requires you to run. So if I'm gonna spend the whole game double tapping my D-pad to move faster, then it should have been the default. Also, understand that the enemies can be much faster than you.
Fast as fuck, boy!
And the 0.5 seconds it takes you to start running will get the better of you more times than it should be allowed to. Get away from me! It doesn't make the whole game bad, just really freaking annoying from time to time, since a big part of what makes it so hard is having to deal with such bullshit controls. Now, even if Circle of the Moon is not as good as other Castlevania games in the controls department, it does have a few nice innovative ideas. Or at least they were when it came out. Because instead of copy-pasting Symphony of the Night's gameplay, the people behind it decided to introduce a new mechanic called the dual set system. It allows Nathan to equip cards that enemies can drop to have special abilities that heavily impacts the way he fights. And they went all out on this because there's 100 different combinations. It can be anything from transforming your whip into a flaming sword to summoning a familiar that assists you, or transforming into a skeleton.
I'm legally blind.
Okay, this one is useless. And since the effects are hidden until you use them, it's pretty fun to experiment and figure out what to use in what situation to better exploit the enemy's weakness. Finding the appropriate DSS for a strong enemy or even a boss can be the difference between taking, let's say, 10 minutes to defeat it instead of a fucking hour. I'm looking at you, Dracula.
Fuck you!
But here's the deal. The whole DSS system is held back by one very simple thing. It was designed for gacha gamblers. Whether you get a card or not is based entirely on how lucky you are that day. If you aren't, you might even go through the game with only 5 or 6 cards at best, which just sucks. The drop rate is ridiculously unfair to the point where if you want a specific card, you might need to do 1 or 2 genocides.
Hey, bitch!
And even if you don't care about collecting cards and decide to tackle the game with raw strength, you still get screwed over. Because enemies don't only drop cards, they can also drop armors, accessories, or healing items. And there is no other way to obtain anything except through drops. Meaning if you want a healing potion because a boss is giving you a hard time, well, there you go, have fun. It can take anywhere between 1 to 45 minutes.
The game is fun.
Now, it's the part where I tell you that if you want to experience this game, I can't recommend playing it on the original hardware, for many reasons. But the main one is that in the original release, there was no bestiary or anything to indicate if an enemy could drop a card or not. Unlike this version, which has a little icon when that's the case. It's a lifesaver for sure, because believe me when I say the feeling of losing 25 minutes of your life because you're farming the wrong enemy is enough to put you in the mind break category.
That's disturbing.
On the bright side, it at least gives you more time to appreciate the soundtrack because god damn is it nice. The music of this game consists of numerous remixes of tracks from earlier games, but the few originals are complete masterpieces, like Awake or Proof of Blood. Oh my god, it's so good. The original has aged quite a bit, so I highly recommend checking out Dave Sound's remix, which is the version you're hearing right now. So do it! Go check it out. Now. What? I'll be real honest with you, I still don't know what to think about Circle of the Moon. Even if, back in the day, it received critical acclaims, it's still to me one of the few Castlevania games that have not aged well over time, along with Harmony of Dissonance, for different reasons.
You're ugly?
It's the black sheep of the family. Even Koji Igarashi, Castlevania's stepdad, decided to remove its presence from the main timeline, making it nothing more than some kind of spin-off. Overall, it's clearly not as strong as other Castlevania games. But I did enjoy it. It's like those candies you get at the end of a meal at the restaurant. It's nice, but clearly what you ordered was better. Have a nice day. Well, hello there. I hope you enjoyed the video. If that's the case, don't hesitate to subscribe. It's always appreciated. And you can always leave your comment down below. Now, if you'll excuse me, I'm gonna go collapse on my bed.